I really appreciate that because it's accessible, you know, and our attention spans at this point are like maybe 2 minutes. So, you know, we've already exceeded, you know, 120 of them.
I do want to use this as a way to shift back to something that I think is really important going on in Oregon, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I want to define first, before we get into this, what people mean by defund the police. I know other people have gone into this and have tried to explain it. For me, I wish it were called something different, but I don't think that matters. I think as long as you understand what the concept is, who cares what you call it. But I would like for you, as a union president, as someone who is probably having lots more conversations about this term than I am, to define what that means to you and the people you represent.
So we'll start with the union perspective. There is always, and any sort of organization in the union world that I exist in, is that there are very different political ideas, even in more progressive cities and states, is that, you know, I could have people who supported Trump in 2016 working side by side with me in a theater company, and I represent them, you know, as a union member, whereas I, you know, bled for Bernie, you know, like, and so labor has an interesting responsibility and an intersection that brings kind of all sides of the aisles together to protect people and make sure they're paid appropriately. They have access to health insurance, you know, discipline process, and all the things that unions stand for. To use that platform for social justice is only in my brain appropriate for unions to be fighting behind, because that's what we should be putting in our contract agreements, right? It shouldn't matter what you look like or who you love in order for you to get your rights and responsibilities as an employee. You know, like, you shouldn't have to cover that up or placate a boss in order to get paid or move up in the ranks and advancement or any of that. So for unions to be in a social justice conversation, I feel is like 100% like our responsibility to not only our members, but to all working people, because we all understand that what unions negotiate are going to help the unrepresented people as well, because employers don't want to lose those employees to the union employers. So they typically will they'll start to try to match the union standards. Not all the time. Hashtag Amazon. But different TED Talk. What it would mean to defund would be like a divest and an invest.
Which is why I prefer when people say refund the community or fund the community as opposed to defund the police.
Yeah, investing in community initiatives and like implementing non-police solutions, and knowing, like, starting to identify when there is a police solution and when there's a non-police solution, because defund doesn't mean that we just like continue living without a police force. Crime and murder will still happen, you know, and so there has to be a process to handle that. But there are other non-police situations that deserve non-police solutions, right?
Right.
But then also someone was like, yo, we've been defunding the arts and teachers for years, and like we still manage to survive. So if you like really kind of like stop and really think about like how much funding we've pulled out of education, and like we're still asking teachers to fucking show up in a pandemic.
Yeah. So a big reason why I really wanted to kind of bring up the issue of defund the police and the kind of tools that we are currently giving the police is because many cases of them mismanaging those tools. And I think you being in Ashland, being close to a very recent, well, the incident wasn't recent, but we're actually talking about the incident recent. And I just want to kind of introduce the story very quickly and then kind of get your take on it. I've been reading about one Anthony Sancho who was allegedly intoxicated in public, was taken in by the police, had a very violent on-camera altercation, which we will be showing on screen. So this is a warning for anyone who is very sensitive to acts of physical violence. He was attacked by the police. He was pinned down by his neck. He was handcuffed to the grate. In the video that I've seen, we see no resistance. We see no calls for the violence that was inflicted upon him. And because you are in that vicinity, and because you were a sound engineer with the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and you've ostensibly worked with this performer, I really wanted to have you on to get your thoughts and to learn more about what's going on in your hometown.
It was April 2019. I believe the report says it was April 18th, but I could be wrong. But it was April of 2019. I was bargaining a contract because I'm the IATSE rep for our local union, and we bargained with our employer. We were in bargaining. I don't remember what we were talking about. And my boss looked up and said, we need to take a caucus. Something just happened, and it's going to impact your show, talking to me. And so we were doing a show called Mother Road at the time, which is a wonderful show written by Octavio Solis. It's so good. And Tony is what he goes by. Juan Sancho is his probably legal name, but I know him as Tony. And Tony was the lead in that show. And so, and that time, you know, we caucused, we broke negotiations, and then I went to go do my job. We had been told that the show would be delayed. We might be putting on an understudy. No one really knew at work what was going to happen. And then Tony showed up at work, and we had a pull together on, down front. And he talked us through a little bit of what he had gone through, but not like a whole lot of detail, and just like what happened, where he had been. He had bruises, like bad, like we covered up in makeup on his wrists, and looked like shell-shocked.
I'm sorry, was this during a rehearsal process or during the performances?
This was during performance. We had been open for about 6 weeks at this point.
Oh, geez.
So that we were probably close to half hour, if not in half hour, when Tony got to work. And that was the day he was released. He came to work. He went through everything that you'll see in the video, probably went home, did whatever, showered, and then showed up at work.
Oh my God.
It was rough, and you could see that he was like, shell-shocked is the least of it. Like there is something big that had happened to this man, and he wanted to be at work. He wanted to do the show, and probably have some sort of like family and normalcy after going through that. But at the end of Act 1 of the version we did at OSF, is that his character recounts being pulled over by the cops, and the altercation that happens between his character and the cop, and then ultimately a weapon being pulled and like a tussle, and then the shot, like someone was shot. And I won't ruin it for you, but to know that his experience with the Jackson County Sheriff and with Ashland PD was almost a carbon copy of what he was depicting on stage every night is it gives you chills and it leaves you breathless, and also just like wanting to break down and cry for him, right?
Absolutely.
And then angry, you know, to say the least. So
honestly, I'd like to have read the story in a clinical way, and then to hear you humanize it and you know, try not to break down and cry, because I'm also an actor. I've had situations where I've gone on stage after something really rough just happened. Like I had a breakup and then I had to get on stage. I cannot fathom not only having to go on stage after having something like that happen to you, but then to have to use that emotion to tell the exact same story of life imitating art in a very cruel and messed up way. Mm-hmm. I mean, my heart is breaking for this man.
It was with us, like as a production, it was with us, you know, every day after that. And I know with him, you know, it was amplified for sure. But I'm a sound engineer. Like I'm in the back of the house. I don't even matter really in this storytelling. I'm there to make sure you hear the birds cue, you know, like, and their mics are open. Like I'm not as emotionally involved in the telling of this story at all. But every night after that, for me, it was just, it was such a Bach moment. And it's not that Tony's performance changed, because Tony is an excellent actor and he didn't need to have his life nearly threatened to make that moment amazing. It was for me as like the privileged white lady in the room who can like clap back at powers of authority and not have that happen. It was that reality check for me as an audience member, for me as a friend and a colleague to this man, that I was just like, whoa, like every day was like, fuck, like that is the reality. Like Amy Cooper needed to fucking witness that, and maybe she would be a better person.
Because you're having trouble walking, okay? So I'm gonna have to put you in handcuffs, okay? But wait,
please.
Stand up.
Please. No, I'm not gonna relax. Relax first, man. Because I'm a brown man.
No,
I'm a brown man in the situation.
You're an intoxicated man. No.
Yes, I'm a brown intoxicated man in the situation. But I'm not.
No one brought up race until you did.
Wait. Yes.
Okay, well, don't turn this into a race.
And you're white. You're white and you're white.
Listen to me real quick.
No, wait.
You're not in trouble.
No.
You're not in trouble.
Wait, hold on. I know I'm not in trouble. That's the problem. I'm not in trouble.
No,
I'm not in trouble.
Hold on.
I'm not in trouble. I'm not in trouble. I'm not in trouble. Wait, hold on.
Shut up and listen.
Don't tell me to shut up.
Listen to me.
Don't tell me to shut up, white man. Don't tell me to shut up, white man.
You're going to get yourself into
trouble.
We're trying to take you
Am I being recorded right now?
Yes.
Yes? Okay, so then don't tell me to shut up, white man.
You are talking over us, and we're trying to work with you to explain what's going on.
No! Don't tell me to shut up, white man. If I'm being recorded right now, then don't tell me to shut up.
Are you going to listen to what we have to say?
No, I'm not. Because you're going to listen.
Stand up.
Dude, don't do this. Don't do this, please.
You're going to end up going to jail.
Don't do this.
You're going to go to jail.
I've been to jail before. Don't do this. Please. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't.
You know, our community was very quick to share, because that's how we affect change, you know, clearly. And, you know, Tony is an amazing actor and an amazing person and friend. So this story went big in a way that, like, I couldn't be happier to know that that pressure is coming nationwide onto, you know, a small town sheriff's office and a small town police department, because this is something that hasn't just started with Tony, and it won't just end with Tony. And then now, because the lawsuit is filed on the Jackson County side, for the sheriff's department, because that's where the video, it shows the grotesque mistreatment and racist behaviors. And so that's the lawsuit filed on it. And from what I'm seeing, what I'm experiencing is that APD, Ashland Police, is just kind of like, those weren't our officers, so, like, just go file your complaints with Jackson County because we're not a part of this. And it's like, yes, you are. Yes, you are.
The way that I approach researching for this conversation with you is because all of these things are so connected. From being on the protester side to having close ties to the police, to being a union leader, like you're seeing, and also having this actually happen in Ashland to one of your friends and someone you work with, like, you're seeing this from so many different angles, which is just so rare, I think, in a person. But the way that I really want to tie all this together is really leaving it at defunding the police in a personal way for me, because having lived in Japan for 9 years, the police were very rarely called. Like, I can't remember being in a situation where I was with someone and they thought, I need to call the police about this. Like, if your bike was stolen, you went to the local police box, we called it, Koban. And, you know, mini corners had, like, tiny little square buildings. They weren't very big, like maybe one room with a glass and you can see what's going on the whole time. I mean, obviously they had offices in the back, but you know, there was always one officer sitting out front looking at the neighborhood. He can see what's going on. If someone's riding their bike with, like, both headphones in, they might stop you and tell you to take one out just because that's the law. But the police, when they were summoned for a situation like someone being drunk in public, it might be like 10 of them, but they're all kind of standing around the person. They're, you know, checking in, making sure this person's all right. They might leave them there and to sleep it off. They might bring them in. It just depends on the severity. But for the most part, if a person's drunk in public, they're kind of left to their own devices. Like, okay, well, we know the society's safe. We know that this person is just going to sit in this corner and sleep it off. So, you know, we'll monitor it. We'll watch them. Station managers, if it's at a train station, will, you know, do their part. But you rarely saw someone being arrested and taken to jail and being, you know, violently assaulted for something like being drunk in public. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that a lot of Americans have whenever any crime happens is, well, what was that person doing? Not crime, I shouldn't say crime. Anytime someone, you know, is involved with the police, people want to ask the victim, what were they doing to deserve that treatment? We've all been drunk in public. All of us. I mean, you and I have stories of being drunk together in public. It's not a crime worth your body being battered. It's not a situation that normal police officers, as you have also said, are trained to handle. So for me, defunding the police is so important because we need the right resources to handle the situations when available. And what happened to your friend Tony, we wouldn't have this issue if we had the appropriate response to dealing with that, regardless of whether or not he was or was not in that situation, drunk or not, it doesn't matter. He was not harming another person. According to the report that I read, he was like 2 blocks or
yeah, it's 2 blocks away from his house. Yeah.
If you were in that situation, if you, Amanda Sager in Louisiana, were in that situation where you were drunk and the police stopped you and said you're being a nuisance, oh, you live 2 blocks home, we'll escort you home. We'll get you home. I want America to be like that for everyone. And it won't come with a mentality that everyone's a criminal and everyone should be treated with violence. We won't get there if that's how we see every single altercation with the police.
Mm-hmm.
And if we keep blaming victims, and if we keep looking for other ways to handle the situation other than the fact that we need to allocate our resources better.
Absolutely. And there is, for fear of like any sort of like compromising, you know, of trust or fucking with a lawsuit or by any means, like there's already conflict inside of that report based on not only Tony's experience, but also those of us who were with him prior to that. And so, you know, there's a lot of false shit being reported and
editorializing, or
perhaps
maybe just
or covering of asses.
Okay.
And I think that's happening a lot with our community out here, is that, you know, it's a small town. We had just gone off of work. Some of our colleagues, we were at X, Y, and Z location and left the bar and, you know, hey, okay, we live this way, you live that way. Are you good? Okay, we're good. And clocking that, you know, the Ashland police were like staking out the bars and, you know, decided to go one way and not the other. You know, there's conflict and differing reports that, you know, there actually wasn't a dress provided, that he actually wasn't swerving it out of the road, you know, that whoever the hell called the Amy Cooper of the world decided that that person of color who was walking down the street was going to be a threat. You know, again, going back to defund, the police could have intercepted that and been like, oh, okay, well, we'll go check it out. Nope, not brandishing a weapon. Fantastic. We're going to handle it this way. But instead, it led to a detainment. And no one knows why this man was arrested, yet he was charged for resisting arrest. And then to put him into a cell that's probably, you know, the size of this fucking screen without his shoes on, which is an interesting note to observe. And then to, you know, be pinned down, you know, knee on back.
Yeah.
And then to have the sheriff's officer then say, well, it wasn't George Floyd type. Like, yeah.
That's how you want to make that better?
Wasn't like George Floyd.
I mean, I did read that they did drop the resisting arrest claim, which I can't go by the entire altercation. Just the video that I saw was going, I don't understand this. But what took from April of last year to now for us to know about this situation as a public, as a whole? I
think there was a part of it that was a care and consideration and wanting to take the lead from my friend who had just survived that. And wanting to give that space for healing and process and also knowing how to reply in a way that wasn't going to hurt him in the long run. This is not the first incident we've had in our town, and this is, you know, our company has typically organized around defending and uplifting our POC folk who have been through racist actions by the cops or even just like shop owners in this town. I know there was a push for accountability and kind of handling it more insular within our community that didn't go to the bigger place. And I don't really know much of the resolution of that. Obviously, it didn't involve me in that way, but I know that there was movement and action in that way, and the company did the right thing, and that was to have their employees back in that way. And also, we're like the biggest, you know, tourist income for the city. So OSF has a little bit of like clout to be able to hold that space, you know, and confront the systems and the businesses in that way. But I think it probably made larger news in a way that was comfortable and safe for him and for his Tony and his family.
Yeah. Whew. We got a lot covered.
I've been talking to you for like 3 hours. I cannot believe this.
I honestly knew, like, before we even started, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be 2 videos. It's like it's too much. There's so much going on just in your one little bubble right now. So you have no idea how grateful I am for this time. Like,
I hope this produces something that's like that makes sense, because I feel like I've given you like Sager rambles and nothing that's like an action or like a policy or like a, you know, like I'm not on my like union talking point, like, let me tell you, Senator Merkley or OSHA, you know, I'm just kind of like talking to my friend. Right.
Which is what I want, but I'm also about to give you the opportunity because I want to end with a call to action.
Ooh.
You know, one thing that really impressed me, like, I learned about this thing through the national news, but then, you know, I did exactly what one of our friends in our group chat was like, do you know this person? That's exactly what I thought. I was like, holy crap, I just read about this. Do you know this person? And one thing that I've at least interpreted this way, and I could be wrong, but I want to give you a moment to discuss it, is that you had already gone from the process of a year ago sharing the story to what are we going to do about it? And I got the kind of response from you of, okay, good, you know about it, do something about it. So I want to ask you, for anyone who's watching who wants to do something about it, what can we do about it?
Well, there's a lot that we can do. If you go to the City of Ashland, Oregon website, you can, you know, like file a complaint. You can talk to the city council. I would err on talking to city council because the response I got from our police department was like, we're not the ones listening to the lawsuit, so like it's fine. So I would suggest going the city council route. But in the bigger picture, you know, if you're maybe not necessarily moved by this particular case because there's something in your town or in your city or in your state that is akin to this, go to your city council and try to put pressure. Facebook is a wonderful resource, and there's definitely going to be grassroots organizers organizing around this type of work already. Not everyone can do the external facing protest rallies, actions in that way. That's how I can show up because I can serve in that way. Not everyone can. It's also not safe for everyone to do that, even outside of COVID, but especially inside of COVID. So finding where you can plug in, whether that is to, you know, click on all the petitions and sign your name, or call your senators or, you know, your Congress people. All of those things do matter, and donating absolutely does matter.